Chess is more than a game. It's strategy, it's intelligence, it's friendship. Welcome to my world. Welcome to my channel. The game has just begun.
Hi chess friends, I'm here to show you the game number 6 that was played in the World Championship Chess by Magnus Carlsen and Ian Nepomniachtchi. After 5 draw games, we have the game number 6 and an incredible long battle between the two players, and remain with me to discover together this beauty. Magnus plays with white pieces, Nepo with black pieces. Magnus opened with d4. Nepo plays knight f6, knight f3, d5 and g3 by Carlsen, e6, bishop g2, bishop e7, castle by Carlsen, castle by Nepo, b3 by Carlsen to develop the bishop on b2. Not the main line, but you can play move like this or this here. Carlsen choose b3 and c5 by Nepo. Here Carlsen capture b4 c5, bishop for c5, and now c4 by Carlsen. d4 c4, and instead taking this pawn, Carlsen play queen c3. This is a move to sacrifice this pawn to have more activity. For example, if here Carlsen capture, Nepo capture, you can hit the bishop, so you can capture this. You can, for example, move like this, and you continue with the development of pieces. You can capture here, but you capture with the pawn. It is important captures with the pawn on b3 to have this rook on a file, open a file. So this is the point of this move. It's a pawn sacrifice to have more activity. Here Nepo plays the best move, queen e7. Here Carlsen plays knight d2, and here Nepo ignores c4 b3 and plays knight c6. Here Carlsen capture, a good development of this knight, and now b5 attacking this knight by Nepo. Knight e5 and knight b4 by Nepo attacking the queen of Carlsen. Queen b2 and bishop b7. We have this two beautiful knight of Carlsen on e5 and f3, and this beautiful pair of bishop by Nepo on b7 and c5. They attack this diagonal in front of the opponent's king. a3 attacking the knight, and knight c6. Knight d3 by Carlsen attacking the bishop, and here Nepo come back with the bishop on b6 and remain with this beautiful bishop pair that cuts the square on this diagonal. Bishop f5 by Carlsen, pinning this knight, g5, sorry, and rook d8, bishop capture, pawn capture by Nepo, and rook c1, knight d4, attacking this knight, and knight capture for d4, bishop capture for d4, attacking the queen, and queen a2 by Carlsen, bishop capture for g2, and king capture for g2. Now we are in this position after 21 moves with 6 pawn for Carlsen and 6 pawn for Nepo, but this double up on a file, and a knight for Carlsen and a bishop for Nepo. And here Nepo plays queen b7 check. Here Carlsen retreats the king on g1, safe, and now queen e4, a nice centralizing of queen by Nepo. Queen c2, and a4, a5 by Nepo. Rook d1, king g7, and now a move of waiting for Carlsen, rook d2. And here we have the real beginning of the game, because in this position Nepo decided to play a move that changed completely the game. Here Nepo plays rook a c8, attacking the queen. Here you could retreat here the queen, but now you are bad, like a computer suggests. So here Carlsen decide to change some material and play queen 4c8, rook 4c8, rook 4c8, and queen d5. We have 2 rook for a queen in a completely equal position, but maybe a little advantage for Carlsen, because for Nepo can be difficult keep the safe on this position. Queen d5 attack the pawn on b3, and here Carlsen plays the only move to defend this pawn is pushing before you can defend this pawn. You could do it with the knight, but it's not so good. Sorry about that. Okay. b4. And here Nepo plays a4. This 2 pair of pawn in front block both. e3 by Carlsen. So attack the bishop. Bishop e2, e5 by Nepo. Here Carlsen has this knight is pinned. He can't move the knight, because if he moves the knight, the queen eats the rook. So here Carlsen decide to play h4. Really beautiful move. Try to use this pawn to attack the black king. h5 by Nepo, and king h2. A waiting move for Carlsen. Bishop b2 by Nepo. You can't capture with the knight, because here queen can capture, but to defend this pawn you can capture with the rook. And here Carlsen before attacks the queen with rook c5, and here Nepo plays queen d6. here Carlsen decided to play rook d2. The idea of this move at now this knight is not more pinning, because you can move knight on b2 and defend the rook. For example, if Nepo here does a move like this, you can capture with the knight and defend the rook on the one. So this is the idea. Here computer suggests this move because after this you have this a position that is so good for Nepo, for Carlsen, but it's really difficult to see. You have to give this two pawn. Here Nepo has two pass pawn, so is a really difficult move to see. But you have to continue with this. And here Nepo king is in trouble. Really. Here computer give a lot of advantages because here the king is in a real trap and cannot escape. You can continue to check and you can see this position. But here Carlsen doesn't see this move and he plays, however, a good move, rook d1. Bishop for a3 by Nepo, and here Carlsen plays rook for b5. Queen d7 by Nepo attacks the rook, and here Carlsen is in a not good position. He is in time trouble, very few minutes on the clock. We are in 34 moves, so we have to wait for 40 moves to have the adding of time to the both player. And here Carlsen is in a trouble, really. But he is very good and plays the best move. Plays rook c5. Here Nepo don't capture the pawn. Decided to not capture the pawn, because here follow rook c1 and then knight f7. Here Nepo decide to play a nice move, e4, to push on e5. Here Carlsen play rook c2. This rook here is not more useful. He can't attack the pawn on h5, so retreats on c2. And here Nepo plays queen d5. Rook d2 by Carlsen. Connect the rook on the second file. Queen b3. Rook a2 by Carlsen. And now e4 by Nepo. A really nice move, attacking the knight. Here Carlsen plays knight c5 with 20 seconds on the clock. And here we have queen 4b4, and we have reached the time control. Here there is a addiction of 1 hour for the two player, and now the two player can little breathe, because before there was a lot of tension with the time trouble. So a really amazing game where the two players get in a time trouble with a lot of tension. And I watched the direct video and was so impressive, really beauty. Knight 44 by Carlsen, catching this pawn. And here Nepo decide to not capture the knight, because if you capture you lose the bishop. Here Nepo prefers to keep the bishop and plays queen b3. Rook c2 by Carlsen, and now bishop e8, f8, a retreating move by Carlsen. By Nepo, knight c5, attacking the queen, queen b5, knight d3, a3 by Nepo, and knight f4. A really good square for this knight. He attacks this pawn, he can jump on d5, so and here Nepo has to decide what to do. He could here try to play move like this, and here Carlsen could play move like this, but here Nepo can promote this pawn, because we have this promoting, and now there is a checkmate. Here Carlsen survives, so Nepo survives, so there is checkmate. Here Nepo decided to play queen a5. Here Carlsen remains safe with this move. You can try here the same move of before, because there is problems always with this rook that is hanging, and you can't move the rook here because he is hanging again. So you can try to double up on the 8th rank. Rook a2 and bishop b4 by Nepo, attacking the rook. All this move was suggested by the engine. They are able to play the move of engine with the completely position. Incredible players, really high level. Rook d3 by Carlsen, what a game. And king h6 by Nepo, defending this pawn. Rook d1 and queen a4, attacking the rook. Rook a1, putting pressure on this pawn. The idea of this move is when queen move, for example, move like this, here Carlsen can sacrifice the pawn, the one rook for a pawn and a bishop with move like this. And the idea is to create a fortress in the final. A fortress is a very strong defense with his pieces to prevent attack of the opponent, and the queen alone can do a lot of things. So, but here's Nepo sees this idea and plays bishop d6. Here Carlsen plays king g1, continues to improve this position to make some waiting move, and here Nepo plays queen b3. Here Carlsen plays knight e2 and queen d3 by Nepo. Always moves recommended by the engine. Knight d4 and king h7. We are the king h2, and now queen e4 by Nepo. A very nice decision. He allows this capture, but threat this move, queen for h4, because this pawn is pinned, it can capture. Here Carlsen thinks and plays rook for a3. Here Nepo capture queen for h4, check. This pawn can capture because it's pinned by this bishop. And king g2 by Carlsen. You can play here this move, because you allow this move with check and then follow h4. White here want to prevent h4 because h4 opens the position. So here Carlsen does the right decision and plays king g1, queen e4 by Nepo, and now rook a4 by Carlsen. This move prevents h4 because if Nepo here plays h4, Carlsen can move knight, for example here, and after queen move here Carlsen can capture with check. So a really nice move by Carlsen. And now bishop e5 by Nepo. All this move continue to be recommended by the engine. This player are really awesome. So knight e2, queen c2, rook a2, and queen b3 by Nepo. King g2. Carlsen continued to do move like this to wait some time, and queen d5 check, and here Carlsen play f3, cutting off this diagonal by the queen. Here Nepo tried to infiltrate on the first rank, queen d1, and here Carlsen plays f4, attacking the bishop. Bishop c7, and now king f1. Bishop b6, putting pressure on this pawn, and here Carlsen plays rook a1, attacks the rook. Queen b3 by Nepo. This position, it's a draw, but it's really difficult. Two rook, I think, is better than one queen. I think that is really difficult for Nepo playing this position. Rook e4 by Nepo, by Carlsen, and now king g7. Rook e8. Now Carlsen tried to infiltrate the rook on 8 rank and to double up with rook a8 and make some check. f5 by Nepo. A very nice defense resources to make a square to escape for the king. f6, and here Carlsen double up with the rook. Queen b4 by Nepo, and now rook c8 by Carlsen. Bishop a5, and now rook c1. Bishop b6, and now rook e5 by Carlsen, attacking this pawn. Queen b3, and now rook e8 again, and queen d5 by Nepo. Rook c8, this rook seems dangerous, and now queen h1, a nice infiltrating move. With this move Carlsen, Nepo can check on h2 and seems dangerous, so here Carlsen plays a nice move, rook c1, attacking the queen. Here Nepo decides to come back with the queen on d5, not doing some check because here the king can escape here and is completely safe. So queen d5, and now rook b1 attacks the bishop of Nepo. Bishop h7. We are on 72 move, a really long game. Rook e7, and now bishop c5 by Nepo, attacking the rook. Rook e5. This rook is so strong, attack the queen, the bishop, and this pawn. But here Nepo plays queen d3. You can capture the bishop, because if you capture the bishop you lose the rook, so you can capture. Here Carlsen plays rook b7, and here Nepo plays queen c2. He continues to defend this bishop and keeps the pressure on this knight and pins this knight. Rook b5 by Carlsen. You can play move like this, try to pin this bishop, because here follows bishop for e3, and after the capture here Carlsen lose the rook. So you can move like this, you can move like this. So bishop a7 and rook a5, bishop b6, rook b5, bishop a7 again, and here Carlsen capture. So little by little Carlsen improves his position. Queen d3, and now rook capture for f7. Carlsen sacrificed the rook for a pawn and a bishop, because here follows king for f7, and now rook b7 check, and here Carlsen captured the bishop, and we reach the move 82 with Carlsen that has a free pawn, a rook and the knight against the queen and a pawn of Nepo. It's incredible how little by little Carlsen is able to improve his position, a position completely equal, and try to put in difficulty his opponent. Queen d5 by Nepo, and rook a6 check, king h7, and now rook a1, king g6, knight d4, queen b7, and now rook a1 to prevent this check, rook a2 to prevent this check. Here Nepo tried to infiltrate the queen again, and now rook a6, king f7, knight f3 by Carlsen. He continued to improve his position. Queen b1 and rook d6, king g7 and rook d5. Here Nepo plays queen a2 check and attacks rook, but no problem. Rook d2, defending the rook and defending the king. Queen b1, and now rook e2, and here Nepo plays queen b6, queen c2, queen b1, attacking the rook, and knight d4, defending the rook. Queen h1, rook c7, and king f6. Here computer gives an equality, but it is so difficult for Nepo keep the equality on this position and make a draw. Really difficult. Rook c6 check, and now knight king f7, knight f3, queen b1, and now knight g5, king g7, and knight d6, king f7, and now knight d4, queen h1, and rook c7, king f6, knight f3, and now queen b1, rook d7, an incredible final game. What a game. Queen b2, rook d2, queen b1, and knight g1. Here Carlsen want to try to win this game. Queen b4, attacking the rook, and here Carlsen plays rook d1, queen b3, attacking the rook again, and rook d6. Nepo plays king g7, and here Carlsen plays rook d4, queen b2 check, knight d2, blocking the check, queen b1, and here Carlsen plays e4. After 110 moves we have e4. A really amazing game, really long game. I don't know how to be possible resist so a lot of time concentrate of the board with so high level. King h1, queen h1 and rook d7, king g8 and rook d4, queen h2 and king e3. And now Nepo plays h4. Here Carlsen capture, g4 h4, queen h3 check, king d2 and queen for h4. And we have this difficult position where Nepo has only a queen and Carlsen has this 2 pawn pass. And this is so difficult. Rook d3, king a8, rook a3, queen d8 check, king h3, queen a5, king f2, queen a7 check, rook e3, queen d7, and now knight g3. Here Carlsen want to make some improvement of this position, and who want to push this pawn, but keeping at the same time keeping a close position and safe for his king. Queen d2 check and king f3, queen d3, queen d1 check and rook e2, queen b3 check, king g2, and now queen b7, rook d2 by Carlsen, and now queen b3, rook d5, king h7, rook e5, king f7, rook f5 again, king e8, and here Carlsen play e5. So queen a2, here Carlsen plays king h3 and queen e6, blocking the pawn and pinning this rook, but no problem. King h3, h4, and here Nepo plays queen h6, and now Carlsen plays knight h5, queen h7, and now Carlsen play simply e6. You can capture the rook. If you capture the rook, follows knight here, and you lose the queen with the game, because you have this finance that is lost, completely lost. Queen g6, and now rook f7. You can't capture. If you capture, you lose the game. You can follow this. This is a typical final because this king can win with the opposition. You should know this final. This is a typical final. So rook f7, and now king d8, and after f5 Nepo plays queen g1, and now Carlsen plays knight g7. And in this position, after 136 moves, Nepo resigns the game. We have almost 8 hours of this game of playing by these two really always on player, the strongest in the world, and after 8 hours Nepo resigns the game. I don't know, this is game number 6 and this is completely beauty. Carlsen is able to really squeezing water from the stone. He is able to realize some point in a positions that are completely draw. He is able to improve little by little his position, and now he has gained 1 point after this real battle of sufferance and resistors. I think, I don't know, you can resist 8 hours really. I have my new microphone here. I hope this video enjoy you, and I really love this game. And after 5 draw, we have this incredible victory of Carlsen. What a game, so difficult. I think that now they are exhausted. I want to say that I love Nepo. I appreciate Nepo, how he's playing. I'm so sad after this losing, really. But Carlsen is what a player. He has the best technique in the final of chess. So this is a game, a record game, because it's the longest game of the World Championship of all edition, really. And tomorrow will be the game number 7, and I really hope that this video enjoy you, and for me it's a pleasure show you this beauty of chess, and share my passion of chess with you. And so I hope that you will remain with me for the next game, and thank you very much, really, and see you soon. Bye.